Beowulf. Now, this is probably a story that most of you have heard about. It's a really famous classic, and it's something that you will most likely read about in AP1. Now, Beowulf is about this guy, um, King Hrothgar. Well, not really about him. It starts off with King Hrothgar, and he's the ruler of the Danes. Now, Hrothgar has a huge problem. His lands have been troubled by the rampages of a demon called Grendel. At night, Grendel attacks the wealthy meat hall, and he kills many Danish warriors and sometimes even eats them. Now, Hrothgar used to be a pretty crazy warrior himself, but now he's just an old man, so he can't really do much. But fortunately for him, there's this other guy, Beowulf. Now, this story is going to be about Beowulf, obviously, as you can tell from the title, and he travels from his own land overseas to lend Hrothgar a helping hand. After explaining that he owes Hrothgar a favor because Hrothgar helped out his father, Beowulf offers to fight Grendel himself. And the next time Grendel attacks the hall, Beowulf is waiting for him. He chooses to fight Grendel in hand-to-hand combat, and Beowulf wrestles the demon into submission and tears off his arm. Mortally wounded, Grendel flees and dies, and Hrothgar and their followers throw a huge party to celebrate. Hrothgar also gives Beowulf tons of presents and treasures to reward him of the heroic defeat of the demon. Now, unfortunately for Hrothgar and Beowulf, Grendel has an overprotective mother who decides to avenge her son. While all the warriors are sleeping, she attacks the hall, but when the warriors wake up, she panics and flees back to her lair, a cave underneath a nearby lake. Beowulf, his Geatish warriors, and some of Hrothgar's Danish warriors track her there. Beowulf dives into the lake where he takes on Grendel's mother in one-on-one battle. He seizes a nearby sword and slays her, even though her poisonous demon blood melts the blade. When Beowulf returns to the surface carrying the sword hilt and Grendel's mom's severed head, the Danish warriors have given him up for dead, but his own Geatish followers were still waiting for him. Everyone sees that Beowulf survived the second challenge. There's even more partying in the hall and all that. Now, finally, the Geats take their leave of the Danes. Beowulf says goodbye to Hrothgar and sails back to Geatland, where he is a lord in the court of King Hygelac. Eventually, Hygelac and his relatives were all killed in various blood feuds, and Beowulf becomes the king of the Geats. He reigns as king for 50 years, protecting the Geats from all the other tribes around him. And he's an honorable warrior, rewarding his thanes and taking care of his people. But one day, Beowulf finally meets his match. A dragon, woken by a thief stealing a goblet, begins attacking the Geats, burning villages and slaughtering people. Beowulf takes a group of warriors and goes to the dragon's lair. When they see the dragon, all but one of the warriors flee. Only one man, Wiglaf, remains at Beowulf's side. With Wiglaf's help and encouragement, Beowulf defeats the dragon, but is mortally wounded in the process. After Beowulf dies, the Geats build an enormous funeral pyre and heaped with treasures. Once the pyre is burned down, they spend 10 days building an enormous barrow as a monument to their lost king. So personally, for me, I normally don't like these type of stories, but Beowulf was an exception. It's definitely I definitely recommend anyone, even if you're not in AP2, to read it, or not AP2, sorry. Even if you're not in AP1, um, you should definitely take a look at Beowulf. It's something that I feel like everyone should read, and it's just a great story overall.